Ready for the countdown? All right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good to go.
Hey, welcome to Blue Jay Banner, sponsored by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally, West Pacific Dental Group, and Infusion Brewery. I'm drinking a victory beer, the walk on, because big victory today for Creighton, as we'll get to in a minute. Make sure and hit that subscribe button. We've been growing and growing like crazy here, just as BlueJayBanner.com is. Like, if you're not a member there, hurry up. We're getting full. No, I'm just kidding. We'll never get full, but we're really getting a ton of people signing up lately to discuss recruiting and the portal and next season and all kinds of different topics. So some great discussion over there, some not so great discussion that I get angry with. But anyway, join. You'll have a lot of fun. I'll guarantee you that. But anyway, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button to share it with everybody. On the show today, we've had a bunch of people we've reached out to. We haven't been able to garner any of them. I'm going to check my phone throughout the broadcast, and maybe we will still get one of those people to come on. But some big news today, so we're going to discuss that. We're also going to discuss. We're going to do a little follow up on our new feature, "Shoot Your Shot." Ross, myself, and Zach all put in, gave our shots in last week. We already have a result, and then we also had a listener that wanted to shoot his shot. So we're going to throw that one out there and kind of pick whether it's a layup, a free throw, or a three-pointer. But we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Baylor Schreierman coming back. And we'll also discuss in depth what just happened today and the interview on Field of 68. So let's get right to the most recent news, and that was today. We kind of saw this coming, and if you remember BlueJayBanner.com, you'd have known this was going to happen today. Stephen Ashworth, point guard at Utah State, committed to Creighton as part of the transfer portal. He's got 2 more years of eligibility left. Just a huge get for the Jays. One of the most sought-after guys in the portal. Had a lot of offers. Had a lot of in the video today he did with Jeff Goodman, Field of 68. He spoke about some of the teams he looked at, and Utah State actually was a team very heavily. Sprinkle took over as head coach there and was recruiting him very hard to stay. He also looked at teams like Washington and West Coast teams, but really fell in love with Creighton. And the big thing was he came here this weekend and really fell in love with it. He's married, so his wife had to kind of sign off on the deal. She loved Omaha. Hopefully they got here Friday, so they kind of caught some of the nice weather. That was a good thing. They went to Jay Gilbert's and 801 Chop House, so there you go. Hitting the high-end steakhouses. That's the way to go.
There you go.
I'll just kind of recap a little bit of the conversation he had with Jeff. He just said, he loved the situation, obviously, being able to step in and play point guard. He'd watched a lot of Creighton and said, man, and he watched a lot of Nemhard, thought, man, Nemhard did a great job, but boy, would I love to play point in that system. Loved the guys he met here while he was here. Really loved the chance to play at a high level and to obviously, maybe get to the Final Four. Cool thing is he's got 2 years, so if he does want to come back another year, kind of like a Baylor thing, he can, which would be big for us. Just loved Omaha and mostly was really, yeah, but you're going to the Big East, and they're going to the Big 12 next year, so he would have still been able to play in a power league. He was also recruited pretty heavily by Oklahoma State. So another, kind of deal there. But he was really, really loved Coach McDermott and the staff and just the opportunity. A little bit about his stats. So he's 6'1". He had almost 5 assists a game last year. And I'm sure people out there are wondering, okay, how did that rate with Ryan? Pretty much the same, really. Actually, Ashworth had a little bit of a edge over him. I see the 2 big differences is, one, his turnovers were less than Ryan's. And then the next thing I thought of, for a 5'10" point guard, Ryan got a lot of rebounds. He did. I thought, how does that fare? And they're exactly the same, which surprised me. And then obviously the big thing is the three-pointers. He was ninth in the country, made 111 three-pointers last year. That averages out to like 3.5 a game. To give you a flip side of that, Nemhard was, under 2. So, or like 1.5. So you're talking almost 2 more a game. That's almost 6 more points a game. Now, Ross, I think you and I discussed this last week. He was a guy who in the Mountain West, they really tried to defend and push him off the three-point line. I mean, nobody really pushed Nemhard off the three-point line, right? I mean, they were going to give Nemhard something. They were going to give him a 3, right? So one would assume it could only go up for him because if you have the players coming back, we think, let's just say Trey and Kalk with the team we have with Schreierman and Ashworth and Bello and, Fred King and then Mason and Trout, you got a lot of guys that can shoot threes. So you can't push everybody off the line. It's just you can't do it, especially when you've got Kalk down low. So one would assume those numbers could even go up for him. He shot almost 44% from 3, which I think is something we really need. But I really love this kid. I've loved him for a long time. I loved him all season watching him. He's better defensively than you think he might be. And I really think that's going to be a something you're going to see out of him. Interesting point during the conversation. So Jeff Goodman kept saying things like, yeah, you're going to have a great team there, da-da-da-da. Maybe you have Trey Alexander, maybe you have Kalkbrenner. He goes, I don't know about Klimek. So you could kind of tell Jeff, and Jeff's an Arizona guy, so he's really tuned into Arizona. So you wonder if he knows something or something. I don't know. He just seemed like Kaluma. He didn't think it was coming back. He was pretty neutral on the other two, right? So he asked him I forget what the question was exactly, but he asked him a question about the team and playing with the guys and playing point guard. And he goes, yeah, I'm going to play point guard. I was talking with Coach McDermott, but, another guy that's going to play a lot of point is Trey. And we've heard Max say that in the interview with Chattel on Friday. Okay. And then he goes, but that's fine with me because then that just opens up other opportunities for me. I can come off screens. I can, different things I can do to help the team out. And guys fly out at me and then I'm not running the point, so I'm racing down the floor. I can get in position, get the pass, shot fake, take guys away, and then drive the hole, and we got all kinds of things going. And I thought that he so easily mentioned that Trey was going to run some of the point next year. I don't know. You don't want to read too much into it, but that was kind of a tell to me. I mean, if you're looking for any kind of tell, that how much intel did he get that Trey's coming back? And the fact that he mentioned it so freely and eagerly, it seemed to me that I think Trey's probably coming. I think if I had to rank them of the most likely to come back of those 3, I'd say it's Kalk, Trey, Kaluma.
You're talking about strictly in terms of testing the NBA waters and has the ability to play the point guard position. He's a little bit different there than a traditional point guard, but he is more than capable of playing that position as kind of a scoring guard. I mean, it's going to be interesting, how he's going to pair with Stephen Ashworth. I mean, Ryan, I was a huge fan of Ryan's. His game is just very aesthetically pleasing for kind of basketball purists, right? We've always talked about this. Ryan didn't have the same shooting ability from the point guard spot that a guy like Marcus Zegarowski, who he took over for, basically had, right? And that was kind of the main difference in watching them. Like, we watched teams go under ball screens on Ryan Nemhard all year long. And Ryan was a capable three-point shooter, but you couldn't go under ball screens on a guy like Marcus Zegarowski. And so when you've got all these other shooters around you and guys are constantly fighting over ball screens and you've got a pretty potent pick and roll game like we've had for many, many years now, it puts so much more pressure on the defense. And I think that's what a guy like Stephen Ashworth brings to the table, kind of that similar makeup of a guy like Marcus Zagorowski, where you can't just go under ball screens on him. So I think if the right pieces are around, which we expect all of them to be, and there's obviously some question marks with the guy like an Isaac Trout and how some of these other guys might fit. But I really, gosh, I mean, most Jays fans should be through the moon with this pickup. It's a big time pickup.
Yeah, I think also too on fast breaks, because you've got to protect. Let's say it's Trey coming down. You got to protect Trey from driving to the hole. I mean, that's his forte. Well, guys are gonna, on a fast break, guys are shifting and moving and trying to get in position and get in front of somebody. And there goes Trey. And, I better get in front. And boom, there comes Ashworth down the floor, spotting up for a three. I think those are the kinds of shots maybe he didn't get as much at Utah State that he'll get here. And Ryan, like you said, there'll be games when Ryan goes crazy, like the 30-point game. Then there's also games where we had the final NCAA tournament, the
Totally.
Elite Eight game, where he just throws a clunker, and he probably had more of those than he did, the 6 for 8s, so hence percentage. So I just love this kid. I think I love his defense too. Like, I think that's a part that people are probably going to be the most surprised at as well. So if you look at our roster now, what we know, right? We have Stephen Ashworth at point guard. We have a backup in Dotzler, but we don't know if he's D1 ready yet or not, right? But then we also have Trey. We can slide over from the 2 to play point. You got Baylor Schreierman at the 3. He could actually do some point stuff if he really had to, right? You got him at the 3. You got Farabello coming off the bench playing 2-3. Usually he subbed for the 3 more, though, last year. So I still think we have a weakness there, some depth. And that's where the puzzler, to me, kind of still now when I look back, it's like Ben, like, gosh, I know Ben wanted a bigger role, but gosh, right now we have a hole kind of there. You know what I mean? Like, he could have stepped right in and been a guy that could have come off the bench for you. But in reality,
yeah,
and then our front court is very well stocked, right? You got King, Kalk, Mason, and Trout. So you got 4 guys there. You're pretty solid there. You can withstand foul trouble. You can withstand maybe an injury here and there. That's really,
and lose minutes in the rotation because they're not ready, etc. A guy like Ben Stoltzberg, a kid like him decided in December he was out.
I agree.
Just, in today's day and age, like those kids, a lot of kids just they want to have a role right away. And if they don't see that they're going to have a role right away, like they're out. And that's probably a good level for a kid like Ben, quite honestly. I mean, I don't know. Let's face it. Was Ben ever going to be? I don't know. I didn't see enough of him in practice. We didn't see enough of him in games. Was he ever really going to be a significant contributor at the Big East level? I don't know. I think he's probably at the level he should be at, where he should do really well. And that just happens. Like, recruiting is an inexact science. It's the line has gotten thinner and thinner between low major, mid major guys, high major guys. I see your point on Ben. There could have been a void there for him to step into the lineup. I think he might have. He probably didn't think Nemhard was going anywhere by any stretch.
No, I think and Ross, to be fair, I know you don't know this, but I had a conversation with Ben this week, so I got some intel. I don't look at Ben as a miss, even though it'll go down as a miss, because I think he was brought in, and the same thing with kind of like John Christophilus, right? They were brought in to be developmental guys. They were shooters. Ben had more of a well-rounded game than John did.
Yep.
But John was brought in to be a shooter. Well, John got hurt right away, got buried in the depth chart. Then he gets hurt. Then he gets hurt again. Then he decides to redshirt. So at that point, John already knew he was leaving once he redshirted.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard anymore. It's almost like the wrong word to term it, and I'm not thinking of it in this capacity as a quote unquote miss. But I know that
No, I know.
most casual fans kind of think of it that way, and I don't know that we should think of it that way. To be quite honest with you, especially in today's day and age, it's such an inexact science, and these kids really do want instant playing time and an instant path towards doing that. There's just such few guys that are willing to sit there for a couple of years and kind of take their lumps and just be a bit guy, quite frankly. So, it's I give a lot of credit to Sharif for a few years now. Sharif was a role guy for 4 years in the program, and he was fine with being that. The team did a lot of winning. I'm really happy for Sharif to land in a spot like Ohio. It's going to be fascinating to watch his development there. I know UNO.
Oh God, you're already into that mid-major, Ross. Now you're really going to be into it with Ben and Sharif.
Oh yeah. I'll be locked into Sharif's career the Bobcats. I'm under the impression that UNO really wanted him. They've got to feel like that's a frustrating one to let slip. But at the end of the day, too, maybe a kid like Sharif wants to get out of Omaha for a year. And Ohio's been a good program historically, over the past decade, certainly. So I'm really excited to see him. I would expect Ben to do really well at Santa Barbara. Santa Barbara's been a very good program. He's got the size, I think, for a guard at that level. You think of back when we played in the Valley, a guy like Grant Gibbs was effective in the Valley because he was such a big guard, right? If you can step out on the floor at that level at 6'5" and long, and you can accomplish some things, right?
Right.
And then I would like to think that John Christophilus will do
long time with rivals. Russ is. I just laugh every time I think of Russ because the one time the many times he's texted me, like I was in a Home Depot once and he goes, "Hey Tim," like there was a breaking story on a Saturday and he's with it. He's going to join us. He's down in Florida, runs a rival site down there, but he also does like a majority of the portal news for rivals because there's obviously so much the guys doing at camp.
right.
Just the normal recruiting coverage just can't cover it. So hopefully Russ will join us here in a little bit. But back to Ben. So the conversation I had with Ben was just, I just said, "Hey, what was the deal?" He goes, "I just wanted a larger role. And I knew I couldn't have that here. There was nothing wrong with anything here. I wanted a larger role, and I got to go back home." And we kind of discussed Santa Barbara because I've been on that campus before. And I mean, it's like, I go, God,
Yeah,
man, it's just
there's worse places to go to college than Santa
Barbara. Oh my God. Well, I don't know how anybody goes to college here, frankly. I mean, your college sits out on a peninsula in the ocean. I mean, that's what it is. It's just crazy. I mean, I go to my wife's niece's graduation, and you go to these graduations, you might get, State Senator Bill Wilson talking or whatever. The head of Fox Entertainment is up there giving the speech. Like the guy goes, "Okay, no one rush the stage now and hand her resumes for your movies, or scripts for your movies, please." It's crazy, but it's so beautiful. There's a park. There's a park right next to the college, a beautiful sandy beach park. And it's like, God, who wouldn't come down here and just hang out all day? I mean, it's just God.
It's crazy.
But anyway, Ben said that. I asked him, and he really didn't want to comment on Kalk or Art or Trey, and I totally get that. It's like I don't want to make I don't want to say something and then something changes or what have you. I did ask him about R2, and he said, was he surprised? Yes and no. He did offer that, there were some things that R2, was a little bit unsure about. Okay. But he thought in the end, he always thought R2 was going to come back, so he was a little bit surprised he decided to leave. So, but Ben was great. He, by the way, really appreciate everything Blue Jay Banner did for him, and enjoyed all our talks we had with him. But anyway, that's that.
Did you see? Speaking of portals and transfers, did you see Jared Bynum from Providence committed to Stanford?
Yeah, that's interesting. Stanford's a team. I just am always disappointed in them.
Like, well, yeah, everyone has been. I mean, Jared Haas.
I thought Haas is going to do something there.
Very much underperformed there. I think a lot of people thought he'd be gone after this year, and they'd try and go get Madsen, and they didn't move on it. And now all of a sudden, Madsen's across the bay at their rival.
How did that kid? I lost track of him. The kid from Millard North. Did he ever play there? I know the first year he played a little bit.
Oh, Max Morrell. Yeah, he comes off the bench. He's probably their seventh man.
He's still there. Okay.
He plays about 15 minutes a game.
They're so irrelevant, I never watch them. You know what I mean? Yeah. And plus, they're in the Pac-12, and their games, when Stanford plays, they throw those games on the Pac-12 network. They're going to put them on ESPN for crying out loud.
I think the big problem that a place like Stanford has is apathy. Nobody cares. There's nobody at their games. It's a joke.
Yeah, I know. And, I hear that a lot, and I hear that about, we were just got a totally different discussion, kind of a Blue Jay Banner discussion, though. We got a discussion of Creighton baseball. But it wasn't that many years ago. I remember Tiger Woods sitting in the front row, and that place was packed, and it was rocking because they were really good.
But that was a good Stanford team, and they were playing at the time. Yeah.
That was about the last good one they had. Oh, I get you. I'm just saying it can happen. It's not that it can't happen. It can happen. And especially right now, I kind of think the Pac-12 is up for grabs. Like, you know what I mean? Like, with USC and UCLA leaving, what do you got? Arizona State, and that's about it right now. You can really, you can make a name for yourself in that conference.
Or not.
And people on, there's one guy at BlueJayBanner.com that's bashing me because I said it was pretty much a done deal, but it wasn't pretty much a done deal. I mean, I had intel from a couple of people who both had people up in St. Thomas who were saying he's basically telling everybody he's going to Creighton. I mean, that's pretty good. That's pretty good intel when the kid says, I'm going to Creighton,
Yeah.
But like they did with Trout, Virginia came in late. And I know some people, especially in this part of the country in West, and probably even in, not so much in the South, but Midwest, upper Midwest, they don't understand Virginia, and like they don't understand Virginia like football when they get good. I mean, Virginia's campus is off the charts. Like, it's so beautiful. It mixes, the old style white columns and all those kind of buildings with the modern, and it's just and it's in
Virginia's like it's like an elite American institution. I mean, absolutely. It's a fantastic school. It's got the name. It's got the cachet. Like you said, it's a gorgeous campus. I've been to their campus. I mean, it's a big time place to get a degree from. There's no doubt.
Yeah, and you sometimes you look at that campus, then you think how close they are to like DC. They're not that far from Philly and New York and stuff, and you'd think, God, why aren't they better in basketball? I mean, they're very good. Don't get me wrong, but you often wonder why they even have a down year. Like, geez, they should be able to bring in a lot of recruits. Now, I think it's a pretty good academic school, though. I mean, it's not.
Yeah, it's not easy to get into. I mean, gosh, Tim, obviously they've had a few years here in the NCAA tournament that losing to lower seeds, but they did just win a national title the year before. Not that many years ago, the year before COVID. I mean, they've won a lot of ACC titles, regular season championships under Tony Bennett, and they play a unique style too. I mean, not every top kid is batting down the doors to go to Virginia and play at the 360th slowest pace in the country, and you know what I mean. So
that's the thing. That's what most people say. Why does he want to go there? Well, they've still had some guards, kind of his ilk, that 6'5", 6'6" ilk, who have really been successful there and filled it up from the outside. And so
Ty Jerome, Kyle Guy.
Yeah, Kyle Guy is a good example.
DeAndre Hunter.
And look, it made a hell of a lot more sense for him to go to Virginia than Trout, in my view. But but anyway, so now that's where people are going all freaking out already, because they can't just take success and move on. They got to freak out and figure out, oh my God, how are we going to, we need to get a deep bench. Well, at this point, let's just assume that everything we think is going to happen happens and Trey's coming back. It's an awfully tough sell to somebody that hey, you're going to come in here and you're going to play behind Baylor and Trey, guys who played well over 30 minutes a game last year. And well, yeah, we can give you some minutes when Trey moves to the point, maybe, or we have, but you're not going to get 35 minutes. It's a tough sell. It's a tough sell. And that's why people were upset with Bella last year. And we got Bella, but I go, that's the kind of player, if you want to build bench strength, that's the kind of player you got to go with and hope A, he can defend, B, he can keep his offensive efficiency, which one, Bello could, two, Bello couldn't, right? But now you got him for another year, so that'll only help him. But those are the kind of guys, like, I doubt a Hunter Salas is going to want to come here and sit. I just don't. He could do that in Gonzaga. That's just my thought. I don't know. What do you think, Ross?
No, I'm with you. I mean, it's I'm how old is Baylor, by the way?
Baylor Schreierman?
Like, is he a guy that's approaching like?
He's got to be 23.
Yeah, I was just gonna. Is it? I can't recall. It's so hard anymore remembering how old these kids are. But yeah, no, I mean,
I think he went 4 at. Did he go 4? He went 4 at. No, 3 at South Dakota State.
I can't remember. I'd have to look it up. Anyways, getting off track. Dotzler can scratch and claw any kind of backup point guard minutes. I've loved his game in high school for a few years now. I think he really fits the mold of what we want to do.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Whether they redshirt a kid like him, I don't know. I guess it's possible, but I don't know. I've watched him a lot now over the past few years. I really do think he's a kid that, you can maybe bring off the bench some and let him develop, maybe take his lumps a little bit in some games. And I'm high on him. I'm going to be fascinated to see what the coaches kind of think of him throughout the summer and into kind of fall camp and all those sorts of things.
Yeah, this will be year 5 for Baylor.
Okay, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. But for some reason, then I was like second guessing it and thought maybe it's only his 4th year. Okay.
Well, and then Mac's statement too, when we got Ashworth too, and you couple that with his article he did with Tom Chattel just on Friday, and Mac mentioned a couple times in the story, Chattel did, and once or twice today, about experience, maturity, and so forth. Well, Ashworth fits that bill because he went on a Mormon mission. So he's already 22 and he's still got 2 years left. So
he might even be older than that. He might even be 23.
I thought he said he was 22, but I could be wrong. Maybe it was 23, but it was 22 or 23. But anyway, that just adds to you get, like Max said in the article with Tom Chattel, it used to be you wanted to get all freshmen. Nobody has freshmen anymore.
Oh, I agree.
mean, nobody has fresh. Everybody wants to be old, which is a total flip from just 3-4 years ago. Like, it's totally changed. And
yeah, it is crazy how that's worked. I mean, you think of some places had freshmen this year that were good players, some top kids. I mean, you think of Arkansas in that regard. You think of Duke. Kentucky had a couple of kids, but even a place like Kentucky has gotten older. So it's the landscape. The portal and NIL combined together has absolutely changed the landscape. Everything I'm hearing, Tim, from various people in and around the game, different coaches, different people that I know that are close with certain programs elsewhere, etc., is that it is complete and utter chaos with the transfer portal right now and NIL and the tampering that's going on. Fran McCaffrey said something about it that kind of made the rounds on Twitter last week. It's the Wild West. It's going to be fascinating to see in 5 years from now what it's going to look like, because I don't think it's going to look anything like it does now. I think we're in the early days of something that wasn't very well thought out. Then with the NIL stuff, then you add the COVID expediting the transfer rule to everybody can transfer once for free, basically. And it's just been a massive fire.
Yeah. I wonder, we got the new leadership in the NCAA. I wonder if, it's going to take a little bit of time, but I wonder if that's something, everybody was complaining about the transfer portal. And now you look back and go, yeah, maybe they knew what they were doing with the thing. you know what I mean? Obviously, when people complained about the transfer portal, we didn't have NIL. So it's a little bit different.
Right.
Now the newest thing I know they were talking about on Field of 68 too is, should there be teams that could sign guys to a 2-year contract and legally bind them not to the school for 2 years, but to the NIL agreement? The NIL people sign it, okay, like you're working with Open Doors or whoever the hell you're working with, and you sign them. You sign on the dotted line. Go, hey, look, you're not going to get this money unless you play all 2 years. We're going to pay you some of it here, but if you don't play all 2 years, we're getting that money back. So you better not spend it if you plan on leaving.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I don't know if that'll work. I don't know if it won't work. I don't know.
If you're a decent enough player, you could just go elsewhere. You could just void that contract and get that NIL money elsewhere, couldn't you?
Well, you'd have to double what you were going to get in 2 years, I guess.
Yeah,
to make it worth your while. But I don't know. I just think the answer is let's just go back to the old transfer rule. Have them sit out a year.
Yeah, I think that cat's out of the bag, though. I don't know that. Man,
Not as much as NIL is, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know that you.
I just don't know that you can go back on the transfer thing now. I mean, I guess you could, but I don't think it would be very well received.
Yeah, maybe they could put a 2-year thing in it. You know what I mean? Like, you have to be at a school 2 years before you can transfer.
Yeah, you could maybe do something like that.
And you can only transfer once.
You
so
can
that's
transfer.
Not so crazy.
You can transfer after a freshman year, but you got to sit.
Yeah,
you don't have to sit if you transfer.
You give a choice.
Yeah.
And then somehow, and I don't know that the no would be affected, but when you're sitting, you can't be paid NIL money. You know what I mean? But then again, right now, I think the problem right now is it's so crazy they can't enforce it. It's too nuts. Like Chattel asked Mac, what can you do with nil? He goes, I can't broker the deal, but I can go and support. Let's say Joe Blow wants to do an NIL deal. I can go and support that, by making an appearance or something. I can't make an appearance on behalf of a player or anything, but I can go and do it for the NIL collective. So, yeah. I mean, how do you judge that? I don't know. It's crazy. But anyway, so I would think Creighton's still got to fill. They've got to look around that transfer portal and find somebody that's willing to come in here, maybe a sophomore somewhere, maybe a mid-major sophomore one where, because there's still a ton of guys in the portal that haven't done anything, that'll be able to come in, contribute, but be willing to play, Sharif minutes last year. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep.
Like at the 2 guard or the 3 guard. And then if we have that, then we're pretty well. You throw in Dolzer and you throw in Jason Green. Now you kind of got a mix of guys you can work with as far as depth-wise goes. But I still think that's going to be a pretty damn good team if you Ashworth, Trey, Baylor, Mason Miller, or Trout, either one, and Kalk. That's a pretty strong team. And then the thing I still love is you're going to have Fred King, who's a really, really, really good backup coming into play.
Totally.
Yeah. So I really like what we could do there. Marquette really, I don't think they even made any moves, did they? I mean, everybody's coming back, so they didn't really.
Who?
Marquette?
I haven't heard anything out of Marquette,
Yeah, I
to
don't
be
think.
honest.
Well, they don't have to. Everybody's coming back, so I mean,
Yeah,
they
but I
probably
haven't
don't
heard
even have.
about anybody transferring or anything. Even
Why would anybody transfer? They know they're not going to play. So, um, I'm
no.
interested.
I'm
I
saying,
love their team, but I just really think that you're the hunted now. It's whole different. As Creighton found out, it's a whole different ball game, man. Just to see how they're going to do, and then UConn lost Sonogo. Joey California's done too, isn't he? I thought he was a fifth-year senior.
oh, Calcaterra, yeah.
And then they lost their point. That one made no sense to me. Diarra. No, not Diarra.
INA or whatever.
Yeah, Allure.
He came off the bench though.
No, but wasn't he a starter?
No, I thought
He was a starter.
Tristan Newton was their starter.
Oh, that's right. So anyway, he's leaving, which
he's going to St. John's, isn't he?
Yeah. It just seemed odd to me. I mean, like, wouldn't he get a bigger role next year because
yeah, you'd think so.
Hawkins is gone? I don't know. So we'll have to see. I mean, that hurts. I mean, obviously they still have a very capable big, Klingman, but it does hurt their depth. No doubt about it.
Absolutely.
And obviously without Hawkins, I mean, there was games, kind of in that 6-8 game stretch that they played that they weren't very good. Where, man, when Hawkins wasn't scoring, they were offensively challenged. So let's see what happens there. Then Creighton, Xavier just picked up a big recruit today too, didn't they? Oh, there's so many of these guys I can't keep them straight, but they got somebody today.
Did who pick up a big recruit today?
They got a big time shooter today.
Who?
Xavier.
Yeah, they got a kid from, I think, Rice.
Yes. Average like 19 a game or something. Yeah. Shot the lights out of the ball. So, Sean's not going to sit still. But I don't even know who they have back. Nunji, is he back?
I don't think Nunji's back. I think Nunji's gone.
Fremantle's gone. Or is he back?
I think Fremantle can come back. I think Fremantle's back.
Go pro. Isn't he kind of got a nice pro prototype?
Yeah. But
is Boom back?
Boom should be gone.
See, they lost a lot then.
Yeah, I mean, just losing Boom and
they'll still be decent though. And then, like you mentioned, you got your Georgetown pick out.
Very first tweet.
Villanova pick out there.
Very first tweet from some reporter, some Xavier journalist. Indications are Zach Fremantle is returning also. His second foot surgery is healing. He should be on the floor by midsummer.
All right, so then he's come back. So that's a big piece for them. That's a big piece. He's an all first team all conference guy.
Yep.
Okay, let's I don't know what happened with Russ. He said he was going to come on, and now I've not seen him. So we're waiting on Russ to join us. Hopefully we still got a few minutes. He could join us. So let's circle back. So in our shoot the shot game, my prediction was Baylor Schreierman would come back to Creighton. That was a 1-pointer deemed a layup, but I did get it right. So I got a point.
Points are points.
We had a listener come up with one, very good one. He goes, next year there will be, and this is from, and I'm just going to use the handles from BlueJayBanner.com. It's BlueJ211. He goes, next year we will have a home game that ends up being in the top 10 attendance of all time at Creighton. Now, initially I heard that and I'm like, well, that's a layup. Of course, we're going to be playing Alabama. We're going to be playing a Big Ten team here, plus the great Big East games we're going to have. That's a lot. Like Marquette, that could be a top 10 matchup. UConn, I mean, that's a lot, right? But if you went to games this year and the attendance was announced, like we didn't really talk about this, I don't think, during the season, but like I'd be like, wow, that has to be top. And they go, let's top 12. And I'm like, what? It was a sellout though. So I think there was a time we let more people in.
Yeah, you might be right on that.
I think they configured, the tunnel across from the players' bench, that in that corner, across
Yeah.
from that used to be filled in with seats. Now, you're only talking a couple hundred, but when you're talking about all-time attendance, that adds up.
Yeah, see, I remember I thought the night game against Villanova was like that game was like packed to the rafters. I thought there was like not an empty seat in the entire place, and then they said something about it was like the 18th largest. I'm like, what?
Yeah. And that area, they also moved, seats along the floor where that used to be all press tables. So then they had to find a place for press. So they stuck them up in the corner. So that used to be seats on the full game. It seemed to me those seats on the open end were like closer together more because I sat up there for an NCAA regional game. That was the best ticket I could get. And that's where they moved my tickets to. And it seemed like it was a lot more crowded up there. Like you couldn't stand, there wasn't very much room to stand by the railing and watch the game. I think they want to keep that still open, to people. But then on the other hand, God, our student section was packed to the gills most games last year. So it confuses me. So anyway, what do you think? Do you think this is a layup, or do you think maybe because of the way that they're, we had a couple this year where it was announced a little bit ahead that it was a sellout, but we've had games in the past where it was announced a week out that it's a sellout. We're selling standing room, and then people would flood in to get standing room. So those are the games where it's really going to ratchet up. We could have a couple of those this year.
Yep.
Alabama will definitely be one. Although those non-conference home, they just tend not to be sellouts for some reason. But Alabama would be one. Marquette, UConn, definitely going to be one. Villanova's probably Xavier. Those would be the five. And then whoever we play somebody good in Big Ten. By the way, I was corrected on BlueJayBanner.com when I guessed who we could play. We cannot play Iowa because Iowa has to be at home this year. Now, they could juggle things around and make it happen. I'm stunned that they have Iowa and Creighton on the same schedule. Like, when you first set this up, wouldn't you have said, oh, let's pair up Iowa and Creighton? It's a natural, right? I mean, I don't get that. So I believe we could have Michigan State, though.
That'd be pretty.
That'd be very cool. That'd be a sell. People come from Michigan State.
Purdue is another option.
Purdue, yes. Yes, that was it. You're right, Zach. Thank you. Yes, and that would be, if Edey comes back, I can't see him not pairing Purdue and Creighton together.
Awful fun.
Just like if Sanogo was back for UConn, they would have paired them together, So, yeah. Yeah, that would be awesome. You'd get some national people here for that, baby. Yeah. That would, and wouldn't you just be curious to see how that goes for a Calc,
Oh, we had a blast to watch.
Yeah. So, anyway, so that's going to be a free throw. So that's a 2-pointer. So we will give Mr. 211 a 2 on that one if he gets that right. And we'll get back to a fuller version of that. One other topic I want to talk about, by the way, I just say this first. Overall, when you look at softball, cross country, and golf especially, we're doing fantastic in spring sports. Our golf teams are both really good. Baseball, not so good. We just got boat raced by Georgetown. I mean, we lost. So here's the deal. We went up 11-0 in the first game. Okay. So we were up 11-0. The game ended up being 15-11. So if you throw out that 11-0 run at the beginning of the game, we would have lost that game 11-4. We lost the next game 8-3, and I believe yesterday was it 13-1 or 15-1. You look it up, but I know it was a lot. Russ is not going to be able to join us. Thank you, Russ. Let me get the score here real quick. My point is, Georgetown and Villanova have been bottom feeders 13-1. 13-1, yeah.
Yikes.
So that's 24. That's 32-8 that we got outscored from the middle of the first game through the end of the weekend. That's pretty damn embarrassing. I know Georgetown has some bats that they haven't had in other years, but 32 bats, that's a lot of freaking runs to give up. And in the meantime, we scored in 2.5 games. We scored 8 runs. I mean, that's nothing to sneeze about. So, the talk has begun, and, I had one person who had a very good point. Like, we have tons of disadvantages. We have tons of disadvantages. We do for baseball. And the person's point was, hey, thanks to Ed, we've been successful as we have been. I'll somewhat temperature goes, oh, I guess it's only 3 degrees difference. And the advantage of having a night game where you can get more people there versus a Saturday afternoon game when people are busy and got kids in soccer and all kinds of crap outweigh each other. So that's one thing there. But again, I think Creighton does have an advantage over Iowa. Okay. Over, I don't know who else, pick somebody else around here, that we do have the, College World Series Park that, teams want to come and play for non-conference. And it's kind of like, you're going to the game. You're not sitting on some metal bleach. You're sitting in a pretty nice park, and concessions will be decent and yada, yada. That park's always been too big for Creighton. They knew that, but they thought it would offset. But I'm still a firm believer if you got a good team, like, I'm not jumping up and down to go. I'm a big baseball guy. I'm not jumping up and down to go to a game this year. I'm just not. My buddy's got season tickets against me all the time, and I go, like there was a lot of games my wife and I used to go to the club when the team first got in the Big East, and they were 1-2 every year. They were very competitive, and oftentimes battling for an at-large with the NCAA. So, yeah, it might be time that we get some new blood in there. Ed's nobody loves Ed more than me, but it may be, let's see how this plays out here, but it's not looking good. And, like somebody else said on BlueJayBanner.com today, look, tomorrow night's all that matters. That's all people care about. Who wins between Nebraska and Creighton? That's all they care about. I mean, but the thing is, we already got smoked by UNO, so I don't know. But I just wanted to mention that it's not. And by the way, Creighton's got to finish in the top 4 to get in the Big East tournament. Rather than getting the Big East tournament right now, that's not looking very good. So
you're 100% correct.
Yeah, that could be really bad if they don't get the top 4. So, all right. So Russ can't join us, so we'll get him on. I would like to have a longer discussion with him though on like portal and just he's out there and he sees it all along.
I agree.
Maybe he's got some answers as to what could change, what's good about it, what school, how much tampering is actually going on. It appears there's a lot. It appears nobody can do anything about it. So, it is what it is. Okay, so we're going to take next week off. We will join you again the following Monday, the first Monday in May. Hopefully we'll have some more news, but we got news today, so I think we're going to go into a little lull now. Going to kind of be a waiting game a little bit. Do you know when the NBA reviews? Isn't that coming up?
Do I know when
when did they? I thought it was the end of April when they had to declare one way or the other.
No, I think they've changed it to May. It should be mid May, I think.
We have a week from Thursday is the NFL draft, right, Zach?
I could not tell you, but I could look it up.
What? That's your big draft guy, no?
I'm not a huge NFL guy.
Oh, well, screw you then.
I'm the same way, Zach. I'm not a big NFL guy myself.
Thursday, April 27th. So yes.
Yeah, a week from Thursday. All right, cool. So we'll give you the whole week off to get ready for that. All right. So no show next Monday. You can get ready for it. I'm actually working on a kind of a cool deal. Can I tell you about it? Can I spend a minute to tell you about it?
Go ahead.
The other thing is really super nerdy, and I don't care. So, you know what bracket matrix is, right, Ross?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Brian just has done the most awesome job at bracket matrix. Get that out there first. Here's the problem. What's happened is with the, just advanced stats all out there and and kind of the way he does it too is now the serious bracketologists are getting shoved to the side. Not always, but sometimes. And these guys go on there and just copy the bracket matrix down and do it in 3 or 4 different ways, turn 3 or 4 in like the week before the bracket announced and go, oh, look at me. Aren't I smart? I finished third. When they don't, I mean, they don't know how the ball bounces. Okay.
Right.
And so this has been going on for a few years, and there's been grumblings, and this last year it really came to a head. If you're a bracketologist, you should do a bracket. You shouldn't just do a seed list. You should do a bracket. I mean, when I do it for Stadium, I was some of the off weeks I was just going to do a seed list, and people are like, no. We want to know where you think our team is going to go play. I mean, that's a big thing to them. So then I'm like, oh, this is a lot of interest, and I get a lot more comments on why do you have them going to Birmingham, than I do why are they flashing. So
right.
So anyway, we're working on a deal. We will allow our thing to still go into bracket project, but we're going to score it totally different. Like it's going to be scored on your 1 through 68, how you rank the teams, Right now you could be off by 7 spots and only lose 2 points on the matrix. Where on our system, you would get 0 points. And that's kind of the way we think it should be. And people aren't going to be able to copy because we're going to put stipulations. They got to do full brackets, and you're actually going to get bonus points if you have the teams in the top 16, if you have them in the right region and in the right pod, you're going to get bonus points. So then that puts into your bracket making abilities. So anyway, there's about 4 of us that are getting together about every couple of weeks, and we're kind of molding this thing. And luckily the one guy, I don't know if you've ever heard of these guys, but they're called Delphi Bracketology.
Okay.
It's a teacher. They've been doing it for years and years and years. They won it one year. It's a teacher who has a club in school, and they've always done it outside school hours because we're never allowed to do it in school hours, given the time to do it. So they do it like after school, and I don't know if they have like 6 kids and 2 adult instruct in their help, and they get into it, and they are always very, very, very successful. Well, Brian Tassani, one of the teachers, is telling me next year they're actually going to get them every day for an hour in school, which is really cool. Well, they're learning a lot about probabilities, mathematics, all kinds of stuff. So it's going to be good. But anyway, he's part of it, and his group is like really upset that it's just gone to garbage, like a lot of things nowadays. So anyway, we're developing them. So that's something I'm involved in right now.
All right,
I'm not going to run
everyone honest,
Tim. Anyway, we got those kids. We got those kids to like technology wise, so they can put it all together. Here you go. Figure out how to do it. Us old guys, we don't give a crap about that. Just you show us the finished product, we'll give you a thumbs up or thumbs down. Thanks, Zach. Again, hit like, subscribe, go to bluejbanner.com. You got tons of new members over there. You'll enjoy it a lot. And we will see you in 2 weeks and get everything ready because it's going to be another edition. Oh, Russ, we didn't get to our NBA thing.
I know. I was literally just going to say we'll have to wait for 2 Mondays. We'll do it in 2 weeks.
The playoffs have already started. Now I'm going to have an unfair advantage, Russ. I'm going to glean answers from you, maybe.
I can hear. I'll give it to you really quick. Just rapid.
Let's do it. Come on, let's do it. We got to do it now. Otherwise, this is my favorite thing of the year. So for you that don't know, real quick, real quick, what we do, I think I explained it earlier, but what we do is Ross does this every year to me because I know so little about the NBA. Actually, we were stunned last year. I think I got 40% of them right. I think we did 20 or something last
year. Do you have to get the team they currently play for and the college?
Yes.
All right.
I think I got 20%, 40% right, but we did 20 last year. We're only going to do 10 this year. All right, so let's go.
Mikal Bridges.
Oh, that's easy. He used to be with Phoenix. He is now with – well, he went to Villanova, first of all. God, is he with Brooklyn?
He's with Brooklyn. Good job.
Yeah, baby. 1 for 1. Boom.
All right. Domantas Sabonis.
Ooh. I would guess he played at Arizona or Gonzaga. No?
Gonzaga.
Damn it. Okay. I answered too quickly.
I'll give you that one. You kind of.
Okay. I'm going to take a shot in the dark here. Atlanta?
No, Kings. By the way, I'm giving you. I did guys on all playoff teams. So these are guys that are all.
I knew it was somebody in the playoffs. Okay. Yeah. Oh well, I'm going to do well then. Go ahead.
Okay, Aaron Gordon.
Aaron Gordon plays for the Clippers.
Nope.
No. Hold on. Let me back up. First, he's from UConn, right?
Nope.
Oh, you're talking about Aaron Gordon. Isn't there an Eric Gordon?
I'm talking about Aaron Gordon.
No, he was thinking of Eric Gordon though. I say that he does get points because he was right. he had the wrong guy, but he was right.
Oh, he's thinking Eric Gordon. Yeah.
Yeah, Aaron
Gordon. Gordon did not play at UConn though either. He played at Indiana.
Oh, okay. Well, I would have lost that one anyway. Okay, so Aaron Gordon. Well, I'm lost on this. I'm gonna have to just nope.
He plays for the Nuggets. He played at Arizona.
Oh, goddamn, Ross, you said that, and I just remember the announcer. When you said that, I could hear the announcer last night going, yeah, Aaron Gordon from Arizona. Jesus. Okay.
Okay. Julius Randle.
I should get this one. He plays for God, Tim, you should get this one. Don't know. I'm guessing Kentucky.
He did go to Kentucky. Good job.
Okay.
Got to give me a playoff team.
I know. I don't remember seeing him play though. It's probably a game I didn't watch. Cleveland.
No, plays for the opponent. He plays for the Knicks.
You know, Ross, I know you're not going to believe me, but I was going to say Knicks, and then I thought, nah, that's too easy.
All right, Karl Anthony Towns.
Karl Anthony Towns. You give me this one every year. He went to Kentucky. He plays for the Timberwolves.
All right. I couldn't remember if I gave him you last year or not. That you should get this one too.
Any Timberwolves guy you say just because.
Well, then you should get Anthony Edwards.
Oh, Georgia. Yeah.
There you go. Played for Tom Crean at Georgia, which is a little bizarre.
Yes, he did.
You should get this one. Austin Reeves.
Plays for the LA Lakers.
Okay.
And
you should get where he went to college.
Oklahoma, correct? State? Oklahoma? No?
What? He went to Oklahoma. He played against us.
I said Oklahoma, and you looked at me like, what?
No. He played against us at the CHI Center. That Oklahoma team was good. That Oklahoma team had him and Brady Manick.
Right. Yeah. Okay, that's cool.
All right, I'm giving you this is another softball I'm giving you. Max Strus.
Oh, DePaul, he plays for Miami. Okay, Ross, I'm so glad you brought that up. Okay, so I didn't think you would pick him, but I got to tell you this. So your name came up in our discussion as five of us were sitting at the sports book on Saturday because we were watching Miami, and I go, Heath turns to me. I was with Heath, and he turns to me and he goes, can you believe Max Strus is in the freaking NBA and he's scoring like 25 points a game? I go, well, Heath, let me tell you something. I can believe that, and here's why. Back in the DePaul days, I'll never forget this. Ross said one show, he goes, Tim, Max Strus is going to play in the NBA. And I go, get the hell out. He goes, I'm telling you, So hats off to you for nailing that, by the way.
Sun's got to shine a dog's ass once in a while. Two more here. You should get these. Drew Holiday.
Drew Holiday, did he play for UCLA?
Correct.
Drawing a huge blank here. I'm going to go with the Memphis Grizzlies.
Milwaukee Bucks.
Okay.
And then the
I
last
hardly ever
one,
watched Milwaukee.
I think I might have. Milwaukee's like the best team in the league.
I know, but I hardly ever watch them. I don't watch no NBA during the regular season.
I wrote this.
I've just watched the last 2 days because my wife's out of town, and I watch all. That name sounds so familiar. Did he play for Indiana?
Nobody played in the Big Ten.
Okay. Michigan State?
Michigan State, yeah.
Okay. Defensive team. Jaren Jackson. Nah, it's not them. Boston Celtics.
Memphis Grizzlies. Sorry,
Man.
you did better than I thought.
I'll do better next. Well, that's because I've watched some games. Like Reeves, I would have had no clue had I not watched the Lakers. I watched them twice now because I watched them in the stupid playoff game. By the way, Ross, can I just say this? I would watch a week of last year's Georgetown and DePaul teams play against each other rather than ever be subjected to the Lakers Timberwolves. That was the worst professional basketball game I have ever seen. And I was validated when Charles Barkley comes on and goes, that was the people don't watch. He's on TNT and they're promoting the hell out of these games. He goes, people don't watch this anymore. This is horrible basketball. These two teams don't belong in the playoffs. The Minnesota Timberwolves.
And the Lakers beat the Grizzlies yesterday.
In the last 5 minutes of regulation, in the 5 minutes overtime, the Timberwolves scored 7 points. Yeah, that is with Karl Anthony Towns on the floor and Edwards. 7 points.
It's crazy.
Holy God, that was awful. And you know what? The first 3 quarters, the Lakers were just as bad.
I'm with you. Well,
with LeBron.
More games tonight.
I got money on them, Ross. I'm going to lose some more. All right, buddy.
All right.
Ross, thanks for doing that. I love doing that NBA thing.
Yep.
We'll
see you.
I don't know baseball, so I won't do that to you. All right. We'll do pro football. That'll be interesting. All right.